Howdy folks, I'm sweet short-tailed swallowtail, swiftly sweeping through sunlit swamps.
I'm Amber.
And here are more sunlit swamps for us to swoop through, although they're not sunlit at all, they're just the dark, swampy corners of Reddit. And folks, if this is your first time viewing or you're a new subscriber, welcome! This is a show where we show you how to ruin a date for the next 20 minutes.
I mean, we probably do that. That one's actually true.
Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Ruining My Boyfriend's Family Dinner by Bringing My Own Food? I'm a 28-year-old and I have been with my boyfriend for about a year. I have several food allergies, gluten, dairy, and shellfish. My boyfriend's family invited me over for a big homemade dinner. I told his mom ahead of time that I have allergies. They already know this, but I remember them because I had a couple of incidents with them because of this. She said, don't worry, we'll have something for you. Well, when I get there, everything had at least one ingredient that I couldn't eat. I didn't want to make a fuss or go hungry, so I discreetly pulled out a Tupperware meal that I had homemade and started eating it. My boyfriend's mom looked offended and said that I was being disrespectful and that I didn't trust her cooking. Later, my boyfriend told me that I embarrassed him and that I should have just eaten around the allergens to keep the peace. Alright folks, what do you think? Should have OP have just eaten around the allergens? Is that how it works?
No, that is not how it works. OP, you did nothing wrong, but honestly, I would reconsider this relationship. I don't feel that this is going to be safe for you if your partner cannot understand that generally you cannot eat around allergens. Like, there are different sensitivity levels, but generally you do not want that allergen anywhere in your food.
Yeah. Well, and it's just such a bad, poor take, right? These people aren't taking OP's allergies seriously. Their future mother-in-law isn't. OP's future potential husband isn't. If they're not doing this and not taking it seriously now, they're probably not going to take it seriously later. And the OP is going to spend a lifetime of having to pack Tupperware containers of food to bring over to, their mother-in-law's house to be, berated for bringing food over to their house.
Well, that's the thing. The only thing that's going to satisfy them is if OP eats the food, but that's going to cause OP to go into anaphylaxis, and then OP is going to be dramatic and ruin the dinner.
Yeah. Why are you being so dramatic? Why are you going hypoxic and blue? Well, stop being so dramatic with your hypoxia. It's like, no. This is not something that you mess around with or you joke around with or you disrespect, right? They're showing they don't respect OP. They refuse to accommodate them for very reasonable, accommodations. Run. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Smart Epicness says, easy not the jerk. They're offended that you're not giving yourself an allergic reaction. Your boyfriend is the jerk and a massive one for suggesting that you physically suffer just for his family's approval. And OP replies, their excuse is that since we don't see them very often, it's just an effort thing. That's even worse. That's even worse. And Skylight23 says, I hope this is fake because I can't believe someone could be such a jerk to their girlfriend. But if it's not, break up. His mom disrespected you by inviting you to eat and then not caring about your allergies. For her, your medical condition is something to be ignored, and you try to take care of yourself and she gets offended. You could have told her, I'm sorry, I didn't let you poison me with the food that you know I cannot eat, and we discussed about it beforehand. Sorry that I don't want to get sick because of you, because for some reason you find a sick pleasure in making me eat something that I'm allergic to. Even better, just cut them off from your life. You need to respect yourself and your health. They are perfectly okay with forcing you to eat stuff that can make you sick. I bet that they are willing to hide ingredients in your food and poof, look, you didn't get sick, not the jerk. And OP replies, the worst thing is that it's not the first time that this has happened. My boyfriend's family is one of those old-fashioned families who believe that getting sick 2 or 3 times will make you strong enough to not get sick again in the future. I should rethink my ways of dealing with situations or my relationships. Run.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah.
Run.
They will poison you under the guise of making you better.
They're literally trying to poison you, OP.
Well, and the awful part is that with certain allergies, like the more times you're exposed to the allergen, it actually makes it worse.
Yeah.
So, they could make Opie have an even worse reaction, if not straight up killing her.
Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Cook Anything for My Brother-in-Law? I'm a 24-year-old female and I've recently run into a problem with my brother-in-law, a 33-year-old male, who we'll be calling Dave for the sake of this post. For some context, I throw a themed dinner party every month and invite my family over to eat whatever I'm cooking. This has been a nice tradition that we've had for about a year now. Dave is also going through a new phase about wanting to be a chef, but it's something new since he's pretty spontaneous and can't really stick to one thing and is constantly uprooting him and his family's life for a new obsession of the month. Well, Dave practically does whatever he wants whenever he wants and has no problem if it's an inconvenience to his children or his wife. And my sister doesn't do anything about it and keeps entertaining his ridiculous ideas, such as almost buying a $180,000 RV and uprooting his entire family's life. This was all while he was working a 5-figure job. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and my sister had no job. Luckily, my parents staged an intervention and stopped that from happening. In short, he's basically Tom Scavo. Well, about 2 months ago, I hosted one of my family dinner parties as usual. There were dishes like steak strip, potato salad, and mini fruit tarts for dessert. Overall, I think I did a pretty good job, but Tom seemed to think otherwise. He's been watching the Food Network, and I guess that he's been so inspired by the judge's criticisms because during the dinner party, he spent the entire dinner making rude comments like, "The steak is a tad bit undercooked, the potatoes need more salt, the plating isn't creative." To be clear, none of what he was saying was true. Everyone else raved about it but him, which is kind of why it got me mad. So for this month's dinner party, which was held a week ago, I decided to do things differently. Well, when Dave showed up and sat down, waiting for his food, I served everyone else's plates up one by one, my parents, aunt, uncles, cousins, sisters, and nephews, but when it came to him, I just sat down and ate my meal. He asked where his plate was, and I told him that since the food was so bad last time, I figured that he wouldn't want it this time, and that there was no food for him. Without getting into too much detail, he was pretty mad at this, and he ended up making my sister and nephews leave with him. The dinner party went on, and we all had a great time catching up without him. After the dinner party was over, my sister called me to confront me about what I did, saying that it was unnecessary and made the entire thing uncomfortable for Dave. I told her that it wasn't my problem and that he was offended. After all, he was the one that didn't like my food. I proceeded to tell her that Dave is no longer welcome at my dinner parties, and if she has an issue with that, then it's her problem. But since then, my parents have been on my back, saying that Dave is giving my sister a tough time, and she's feeling overwhelmed. I feel guilty upon hearing this, which is why I think that I may have done too much. Am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
I'm gonna say everyone's in the wrong here. I mean, what Dave did was not cool. Like, when someone is kind enough to make you food, assuming they're not trying to poison you, is generally the polite thing to do is, like, not criticize them publicly in, like, I'm a food critic type of way, So I could understand if OP had, talked to him in the moment and said, this is not okay, you can't come to future dinners, or, told him privately, like, I didn't appreciate the way you handled this. In the future, I'm not going to put up with this again, and you won't be welcome. But the way she did it in the moment, like this grand aha thing, It felt really kind of gross, especially since it has an adverse effect on OP's sister and Nibblings as well, and they haven't done anything wrong.
That's the big problem I have here, is it just seems like OP's didn't communicate this at all. Didn't say like, oh, if you continue to do this, then you're not welcome. And also could have even just uninvited him this time around, period, and said, until you can learn how to be a more polite dinner guest, you're not welcome here, right? And waited for him to apologize, and once he apologized, they could have invited him to the future ones, right? So I think there could have been a lot of healthier ways of handling the situation and being more communicative. I think that OP kind of stooped to his level and didn't really do the right thing in this situation. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Blondie, 1970, says, everyone's in the wrong. When Dave made his comments at the dinner party 2 months ago, you could have stated that if he made any more rude comments, that he would no longer be welcome. I totally understand that he was obnoxious and definitely an unappreciated jerk. Right then and there was the opportunity to put him in his place while everyone was there to hear the comments. You could have easily said, hey, you're not Bobby Flay, and this isn't the Food Network. If you're not enjoying my dinners, please stay home next time, and I'll have leftovers for my lunch tomorrow. By waiting a month and allowing him to show up for dinner, just not to serve him made you a rude host and escalated the situation. I think this person phrased it really well. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for leaving my girlfriend at a restaurant because she ordered the same meal as me again? So I'm a 32-year-old male, and I have this weird thing about food, and I get really excited about trying different dishes. And part of that joy is ordering something unique when I go out to eat. My girlfriend, a 28-year-old female, has a habit of ordering the exact same thing that I do, almost every time we go out. Not similar, the exact same thing. At first, I just try to brush it off. Whatever, maybe she just likes my taste in food. But after like the 7th or 8th time, it started to get under my skin. I'd say, I think that I'll try the shimikuri steak. And then she would go, oh yeah, me too. After I said it, every single time. I even lightly brought it up before, like, hey, you should try something different. Then we can share and try both. But she always says that she just wants whatever I'm having. Well, last week, we went to a new spot that I had been hyping up for weeks. I looked at the menu in advance. Yes, I'm that guy. And I was ready for a specific crispy duck bowl. I mentioned it while we were sitting down, and sure enough, she goes, oh, that sounds good. I'll get that too. I just froze. I didn't say anything. The server came, I ordered, and she repeated it verbatim. I excused myself, I walked outside, and I just sat in my car for a few minutes. The idea that I wouldn't get to try 2 different things, and that I was about to have the exact same meal sitting across from me like a mirror was just setting me off. So I drove home. I didn't say anything. I texted her a few minutes later saying, I'm sorry, I need some space. She was mad. She said that I embarrassed her and made her look stupid sitting there alone. I get that, and I apologized the next day. But I told her that I really needed to understand how much that habit bothers me. She thinks that it's not a big deal, and that I completely overreacted. So yeah, am I the jerk for walking out over a repeated meal choice? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Yeah, I think Obi's the jerk, and I'm wondering if he's more upset about not getting the 2 meals, because he's like, oh, well, I wouldn't get to try 2 meals, and I'm wondering if he has a habit of, like, anytime they've gotten different meals, he, like, eats his girlfriend's food so much of it that there's, like, nothing left for her, and so she just orders what he does so he won't have an excuse to try her food.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's the case too. I mean, I think that seems pretty likely. Or maybe she just likes having a variety as well and thinks like, oh, you know, it's not a big deal. I would want to try whatever he's having, and so I may as well just have it myself instead of, you know, ordering a separate thing. Right.
Well, some people like to have the decision made for them, and it's like an easy way. Like if you have a big palate, the foods you like, you know, just eating the same thing as your partner is an easy way to like that. Then you don't have to make that extra decision.
Yeah, decision fatigue can really hit people, and maybe she just likes having the, you know, knowing that he's thought about this, and she's like, he knows he picks good food. I'll just try the same thing that he's trying, and then like it'll be that, right?
Like I think I'd see that as more as like a compliment if someone was like eating the same thing. Like always wanted to like try it. Like, oh, they have the same taste in food as me. They see my food taste as good.
Well, and then top of that, like when you sit down at a dinner at home, it's always the same dish. Like you're not cooking up 2 different dishes or anything like that, right? So that you 2 can try 2 different meals and mix them together and stuff.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like if he doesn't have a problem with having the same food staring across the table at him when he's eating at a family dinner, why is it suddenly an issue in the restaurant? Yeah,
and it just, again, it kind of feels more like he's couching this in a, oh, I'm offended by this, when it's more or less he wanted to try the second meal. Go to the restaurant 2 times then, right? Try a different meal the second time you're at the restaurant. Don't throw a temper tantrum, desert your girlfriend, and then be like, your habits bother me too much to want to spend time around you.
Well, and if it's hard to see, because in a restaurant you can't control who orders what. Does it bother you if someone at another table has the same food as you? You know, like, how far does this extend? If this is something that OP is seriously struggling with, it might be worth looking into some therapy to work through this. But if this is more of a, oh, well, I don't like this because I can't eat my partner's food, then I think he just needs to move on.
No. So, and one last kind of thing. You're allowed to draw whatever ridiculous, absurd boundaries you want in a relationship. And if the boundary you have happens to be, I don't want my partner ordering the same meal as me in a restaurant.
Yeah, if it's a deal breaker.
You're allowed to, well, deal breaker, sorry, yes, I used the wrong verbiage there. Then you're allowed to have that deal breaker. You know, a weird one? Sure, go ahead, have it. No one can tell you otherwise. But you need to make those deal breakers pretty explicit when you talk to your partner, being like, this is a deal breaker for me. We can't be dating if you're ordering the same meal as me. And that needs to be a first date conversation. So that their expectation is completely out of the way and everyone knows that you can't have the same meal as them. I'm a unique snowflake. I need my snowflake meal. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned. You're the jerk, and that's an understatement. Thank you, Wheel. Finally, Wheel, you gave us something. You gave us something. It's been a rough week, Wheel. It's been a rough week, but I think we're finally on course to being on the same page. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the zombie cross the road?
To get to the other brains.
Because they saw there was a dead end ahead.
Ha ha ha. Very good.
And May is Zombie Awareness Month.
So, I'm a little frightened now because I was unaware that there were actually zombies, and I guess May being Zombie Awareness Month means that I should be aware that there are indeed zombies now, which I think I'm going to go hide in a bunker. It's been fun. It's been a good time. I've really had a good time doing all this, but I'm running. Have fun in the zombie apocalypse, folks. I didn't expect that to happen in my lifetime, but here we are. Wow.
I mean, it is 2025, you know. It would surprise me a little bit, but, you know, just because of the science of that, that's really all.
Yeah, well, there you have it, folks. There you have it. Be aware, there are zombies now. And I have Earl Grey, non-zombie Earl Grey.
Better bring a tea supply to your bunker.
We will. We'll bring the whole grocery store's worth of tea to the bunker. I don't know where I'm getting the bunker from, but I do know that there's a lot of billionaires who have bunkers kicking around, and it's every man for themselves in the apocalypse, and so that's where I'm going. But, you know, maybe being a zombie is underrated because you could quite literally eat the rich.
Except I don't want to eat anyone, but...
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Fantastic Friday, folks. I hope your Friday is off to a fantastic start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it on being a bad host.
Don't poison people. If you know people have allergies, do not put those allergens in the food you're expecting them to eat.
Yes. Yes. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.